Ever feel like you're melting and overheating the second you step outside into the sun? Or turning to ice after sipping cold water and you can't stop shaking? Well, today we're unpacking the extreme thermostat battles you face with the heat and cold. Stick around to discover why your body reacts so intensely to heat and cold and why you have these intolerances and sensitivities. And I'm going to show you some solutions on how you can regain control over your temperature sensitivity.
I can take on anything now in my life.
I'm now currently living a life in which I never thought I would be able to ever live again.
Now there's two things we're going to talk about today. One is heat intolerance and the other is cold sensitivity. And these are both things that I dealt with at very extreme levels during my recovery journey. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Miguel and I recovered from all these debilitating, strange symptoms after a 4.5-year battle. And heat intolerance and cold sensitivity was one of the 50+ symptoms that I felt. This illness, this hypersensitive nervous system issue, pretty much took away my life for a good handful of years, and I was unable to do so many things like hanging out with friends, going to birthday parties, going camping, going traveling, eating certain foods, even leaving my house at many times. At my worst, I was bedridden for 8 months, but luckily that's where I met a doctor who showed me exactly what I needed to do to fix this issue. And since then, we've helped hundreds of people all around the world get their lives back. I definitely understand the struggle of temperature sensitivity. I remember I would step outside in the summer and just a little bit of sun would cause me to start sweating or cause my heart rate to go up. And that's typically what I see with other people is during the summer months or when it's hot, or if the heater is on too high, or if the shower is a little bit too hot, it causes the heart rate to go up. It causes some dizziness to come in, lightheadedness, almost this feeling of fainting. And it's just this hypersensitivity to heat. Now, it also works the same on the other hand. The weather is slightly cool and you step outside and there's a gust of wind and all of a sudden you're shaking. Or maybe it's taking a sip of cold water and now your whole body feels like you're in a fridge and you cannot stop shaking. These are very common things when it comes to a hypersensitive nervous system, and you have to understand that's what a hypersensitive nervous system does. It's hypersensitive to stimulus. So essentially what I found happening to me is my grandma would bring a cup of tea. This is when I was bedridden for about 8 months straight. She would bring a cup of tea over, lemon, ginger, honey, all that stuff. I'd take a sip and it was hot. So then I'd start sweating. And then she'd bring this ice water, a cup of ice water, then I drank that, and then I'd start shaking and shivering, and it felt like I was in a freezer. And it just didn't make sense what was going on. Little did I know it's because pretty much the way my body was processing these signals of stimulus, because that's what it is, right? That's one of the senses, touch, cold and hot. My brain was amplifying those signals. And this can be tied into something like noise sensitivity. If you're dealing with temperature intolerance, you likely deal with noise intolerance or light intolerance. I have a video about that right up here, why sounds can be so stimulating for your body and what to do about it. But with heat and cold intolerance, you just have to understand that the fact that you're having this much of a reaction to something that to a normal person, it wouldn't affect them, is a clear indicator that this is a hypersensitive nervous system issue. And here's the thing, what I found was I wouldn't get this all the time, but I would get this when I was in a flare-up or shortly after a flare-up. So it's not like I had this 24/7. There were days where I could go outside and I wasn't shaking, and I can have my shirt off in the sun if I was at a beach, and I wouldn't feel like I was overheating. Sure, I had other symptoms like brain fog and headaches and things like that, but the heat didn't hit me as hard. It didn't have such a punch on my nervous system. Whereas if I was in the middle of a flare-up, then that's when all the stuff would get amplified, just because I was more sensitive. So understand that going through something like this, it's actually quite common. And as long as you've had all your tests and scans done and the doctors can't really find an explanation for what you're dealing with, then this very likely is a hypersensitive nervous system, especially if this kind of stimulus or this kind of reaction to temperature fluctuates. It's not there all the time, but it seems to come and go. And what you'll find if you actually look deeper into it, which I don't want you to look too deep into it because you can start overthinking things, but the times when you were most sensitive to the cold and most sensitive to heat were when you were flaring up. So that is another indicator that this is caused by a hypersensitive nervous system. Now, what can you do to solve this, right? Because the ultimate question, the ultimate answer you're looking for and why you're here is, you're probably wondering, well, okay, how the heck do I get rid of this, Miguel? There's a few things, and the answer, I'm gonna try to make it as simple as possible. Number one, what can you do to alleviate the immediate stress in terms of the heat and cold? So if you drink a cold water, right, and you start shaking, obviously put a blanket on, put an extra sweater on, put a jacket on, put something on that keeps you nice and warm, or at least balances that cold out. And what you'll find is, this happened to me all the time, I would drink a cold water, or I'd be really cold after a shower, for example. I'd be shivering because, of course, I had water all over my body. It took me about 30 seconds to wipe all the water off with a towel, but within that 30 seconds, my body was shivering. It was so cold. So I got back to the bed and I couldn't stop shaking, so I bundled up with all these blankets. And when that happened, probably 5 minutes later, now I'm sweating because it's too hot. I'm sweating. So you do what you can in the moment to alleviate the immediate stress, the immediate reaction. If you're cold, you're shivering, put a jacket on. If you're really hot, you could put a wet towel, a cool wet towel on your forehead, right? Or turn on an electric fan to kind of balance that out. Now that is a short-term fix. Number two for that short-term fix is obviously just avoid those kind of situations. What your nervous system is not the best at right now is adapting to different environments. Adapting to different environments means adapting to different temperatures or changing environments. That's what it has trouble adapting to. So it is a lot better to gradually expose yourself to this kind of heat or gradually expose yourself to this cold versus just jumping right in and it's too shocking on your body. Now you can build up to that. For example, I take cold showers now, right? I can take a freezing cold shower and I'll be okay. I'll actually feel pretty good after. Could I do that when I was in the middle of my recovery journey? Absolutely not. Like I'd probably crash after that or have a serious flare up. So I can go to both ends of the spectrum. I can take a really cold shower, or I can also go to the sauna. I go to the sauna about 2 to 3 times a week and I stay in there for about 45 minutes and sweat is just pouring off me. My heart rate is super high. But the cool thing is, after I get out of the sauna, I take a cold shower, then I sit down, go home, do work, things like that. And then my body is able to stabilize itself, right? So as you get better, as your nervous system becomes more optimized, almost like at a normal person's level of nervous system functioning, you'll be less hypersensitive and your body's ability to adapt to changing environments is increased. So that's all that this symptom is telling us. If you're having these intolerances, it means that your nervous system is having difficulty adapting to changing environments. But if you were to gradually take this warm water and drink it, and then put it a little bit colder, drink it, by the end of the day, you're having this super ice cold water, you'd probably be much better off. You'd be okay. Versus if you go from not drinking ice cold water to drinking ice cold water. So you want to build up to it. And that's more of a long-term play because in the grand scheme of things, what's the whole thing that's causing the heat intolerance and the cold sensitivity? It's a hypersensitive nervous system. So you could do whatever Band-Aid fixes you want. You could put on more jackets when you drink cold water. You could put on more jackets when you go outside. You could keep an electric fan on in your room to keep you cool. But ultimately, if you want to stop the thing that's causing this heat intolerance, you have to go to the root cause and you have to fix the thing that's triggering all of this. And this thing is the hypersensitive nervous system. If a nervous system is extremely hypersensitive, what do you want to do? You want to desensitize it. You want to lower that level of sensitivity, make it more durable, more adaptable, more resilient. And the way to do that is pretty much what we teach on this channel, CFS Recovery, and what we teach inside of our programs. Because what we tell people all the time, this is the approach I took. All the symptoms that you're feeling, you want to put it under the umbrella of hypersensitive nervous system. If you try to chase after every individual symptom and try to find a solution, a specific solution for each individual thing you're dealing with, you're going to be on this merry-go-round forever. And you're going to solve one symptom and another symptom will pop up. Then you'll focus your attention on solving that, and then another thing pops up. It's kind of like playing whack-a-mole with your symptoms. Versus if you want to beat the whole game and you want to stop these things from popping up, what you want to do is fix the machine or change the machine so none of these things pop up anymore. So once you fix the root cause, the main perpetrator, the culprit behind all of this, your heat sensitivity goes away. So it seems counterintuitive, but the way to solve temperature intolerance is to not try to solve temperature intolerance, because that is a decoy. That's something your nervous system is throwing out there as a signal of a deeper issue. What you really want to solve is the hypersensitive nervous system, and you do that with brain retraining. You do that with having the right approach depending on your situation. I have a video up here that talks about what brain retraining is and why it's so effective in solving issues like hypersensitive nervous systems. So that's all I wanted to share today. I hope this makes sense for you. I hope you feel a little bit more at ease about the things you're dealing with, because this is a very, very common issue. It's actually quite rare that I meet somebody who hasn't at some point experienced temperature regulation issues. And again, this is a clear sign of a hypersensitive nervous system, granted, as long as you have had all your tests and scans done from doctors. And what do I mean by all these tests and scans? If you've gotten your basic blood work done and you've seen some specialists and really they're not finding any clear explanation for all of your symptoms, and they're not even wanting to go down other routes. If they're telling you you're fine, yes. Is it gaslighting? Yeah, a little bit, you could look at it that way. But what they're telling you is that it's not anything they can detect, which means this is a hypersensitive nervous system issue, which is basically what CFS is. That's what long COVID is, fibromyalgia, and a host of so many other things. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got lots of value out of it. If you did want some extra hands-on help in your recovery journey, if this is something you deal with and you want a more personal approach, then we do have a program for that. You can click the link down below where we help people every single day move forward on their recovery journey. And the whole goal of all of this, the reason why I share this information, is I want to help you recover just like I did. There was a time where I was just surviving, I was getting by. My goal was just to make it till the end of the day in one piece. I didn't care about traveling or working out or doing any of this stuff. I just wanted to live. So I've gone from surviving, just getting by, to thriving health. And that's our goal for every single one of you. That's my goal. The reason I make these videos is so you could take this information and apply it to your life and implement it. But if you did need some extra help, if you did want to work with our team, we do have a solution for that we built for you. Think about it like a vehicle to get you from point A to point B, much faster than doing it on your own, like having a vehicle with a GPS and a compass. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you've dealt with this before, I want to hear your experience down below. So comment if this is something you deal with, or if it's something you've dealt with in the past, and what are some solutions you had to overcoming this. Comment down below, share it, and always remember, you are a thriver and you are just one mind shift away from living a life with thriving health. I'll see you in the next video.
Say that CFS recovery is absolutely the real deal.
I actually felt like somebody had answered, like somebody explained what